5 things I've taken away from this semester, especially through the Dirksen text, was one is learning design. It's really useful in, I think, like procedure and routine. Because this wasn't specified in the Dirksen text, but like if you give a student procedure and behavior, like every day we come into the classroom, we sit down, we do this, and you just give them routine in what they physically do. I think one, behavior will be better, and two, well, for a majority, and then two, I think it'll be a lot easy to establish learning routines, and so that like learning design and routine for that, and then using your routine in your teaching style is really important, and then it also says about how too much variability is bad. And I found that in the project that we did the PowerPoint renovation in. Too much variability in a presentation, you're going to distract your learners and you're not going to get your point across. So, number two that I got out of it was emotional context. This was, I think, just like a small little bit in, I think, the learning design chapter, but it really hit me because through my fieldwork observations, I saw how important emotional context was, not only for students but for teachers as well. If the student isn't mentally there to learn and you're not mentally there to teach, what's going to happen? I mean, no productivity is going to go out. I thought that was really interesting. And also I've read from a different text, students not learning. They are actively choosing not to learn because of some reason, and obviously that's usually emotional. It's not just, oh, I don't want to learn this, it's further into that. So, emotional context. So, if a student's being defiant or opposing learning a specific thing, it might not just be they don't want to right now. It could be deeper than that. So emotional context was really big. Number three, getting attention. That's really important. It says throughout the book how students have elephants in their heads, and so it's really important to get attention without distracting them, but also not forcing attention. And that is so important in a classroom, just anywhere where you're trying to teach anything. So, not just in a classroom, but in life, if you're trying to communicate something, you have to get their attention, but not be distracting. And also, that's in digital media too. If you have a flyer, if you have a brochure, you need to get the attention of your audience, but not be distracting. Number four is identifying your audience. So, there's different types of students and they respond differently. So, understanding which students respond well to things and which students respond not very well to things and what context they respond to is really important. But also, I think it's specifically important for a classroom in the way of like digital media, because if parents are not English speaking parents or do not have high literacy rates or things like that, if it's not a household with like higher educated parents, then you're going to have to amend what you send home and the tools you use or the tools you create. So, and finally, the last thing I learned was the importance of learning style and learning level. So I really took this as like when you're making tools like the Smartboard activity or a website, if you're making tools for your students, you have to know their learning style. Well, you don't have to know their learning style. You have to know their learning level, and it helps to know their learning style. You can create different tools for different learning styles, but learning level, if they're a lower level, then you can't have a lot of words or text because most likely they won't be able to read. So that, and also this kind of goes along with the last one, is it mostly visual, or do you have to add audio directions, and or even like the last one, do you have to add a second language for the parents who don't speak English? So that was what I got from this semester, and I really enjoyed reading this book. It was a great book, and I enjoyed the class.